Hello, my name is Grace Lopez, and I am doing a presentation on my hypothetical funeral home, which I have named Hawthorne Path Memorials and Funerals. The reason that I chose Hawthorne is twofold. I live in Southwest Missouri, which is where my funeral home would be, and Hawthorne is the state flower for Missouri. It's also associated with healing the heart and calming the mind. So I feel like those were two things that I really wish for the families that come in, is that from this loss they can calm their mind in the short term and then heal their heart in the long term as well. Hawthorne Path's vision statement is to be Southwest Missouri's most inclusive and forward-thinking funeral home, honoring every life with dignity, authenticity, and respect. We strive to create a sacred space where all beliefs, traditions, and identities are not only welcomed, but celebrated. Committed to maintaining Missouri's natural ecosystem, we lead our community in meaningful, sustainable, and green burial practices at our conservation cemetery. Through compassionate service, cultural understanding, and dedication to diversity, we envision a future where every family is empowered to say goodbye in a way that reflects their unique values, stories, and the life they lived. The goals of this firm are culturally competent care that addresses people and beliefs outside of the white Christians that are predominant in Southwest Missouri, set a standard for green burial and conservation cemeteries in Southwest Missouri, create a space that is welcoming of all families, strengthen community presence, personalized care for every decedent, and for my staff to create a work environment where people feel supported to do the best they can for the families that we serve. My community identifies as non-religious or a minority religious group. So they are normally at a little bit lower of an income level because of Hawthorne Path's belief in not only equality in service, but equity as well. And I would be targeting middle-aged adults that are looking for a funeral service, typically in the Springfield, Missouri area, just because that is the most urban of the area I am planning to target, which is going to have the most people who are going to identify as non-religious. They have lifestyle and values of inclusivity and diversity. They're eco-friendly, and ideally, I think a lot of them would participate in the arts. I would connect with them by hospice partnerships with hospice organizations that don't associate themselves with a religion on their website. Couples of examples of that are going to be Biata, Regional Hospice, and Hospice Foundation of the Ozarks. I would also want to incorporate some events with death doulas in the area. A notable example would be Allison Nail Malone out of Northwest Arkansas. And then also partnerships with non-death care industry businesses like Mystical Thoughts and Essential Yoga Studio are a couple of examples in Springfield. I know both of these business owners, and I know that they share the same values of equality and equity in death as Hawthorne Path does, as well as that inclusivity for different burial practices and different religions. And so this would also bring in like-minded customers as well. The firm that I plan on having would be able to offer multiple services, so we can include anybody who identifies as non-religious and wants to have their life and practices honored. I would want to offer green burial, home funeral support, cremation, and alkaline hydrolysis assistance, since that would be a third party that we would refer out to, and then embalming as well. As far as other services, having a hypoallergenic therapy dog is something I think would be a great addition, as well as pre-need contracts and celebrants, since celebrants would be an absolutely vital part in this particular funeral home setting, since individualized services are such a main goal and a main tenet of the organization. But the green burial would be assisting people and educating them as well, online and within the community, of what green burial is and how achievable it actually is in the area, whether or not you would want to be buried at the green cemetery, the conservation cemetery that I would be running, or if you would want to be buried on a family plot or a green cemetery elsewhere. The conservation cemetery would have a portion dedicated to green burials of bodies that would be demarked by a sign that says Hecate's Garden, and I've chosen to name it this because of the significance Hecate holds in Greek mythology. She's the goddess of death and crossroads and is often pictured holding a torch to guide the deceased through leaving their earthly bodies and becoming spirits. And this is something that's always brought me comfort about deceased loved ones, and I'm hoping that symbolism brings the families of the people buried there comfort as well. There would be a walking path to stroll along, as well as benches to sit on, and the cemetery would have a section for cremated and hydrolyzed remains in biodegradable urns and tree pods that function as urns. This would be named Hestia's Garden after the Greek goddess of fire and water. The physical plant would be a fully accessible location. That's part because we want to include everybody in inclusivity, but it's also practical because I'm a paraplegic and a full-time wheelchair user. So the main entrance would have a handicap accessible button to have those double doors open into a small foyer, and you would see a reception and welcome desk with a guest book stand with a model guest book and a seating area, and then 2 gender-neutral restrooms with handicap buttons. There would also be a ceremony room with seating for 150 people, fully equipped AV system, and a podium with a microphone. There would be 2 visitation rooms with portable speakers for music, an arrangement office, and the parking lot would have about 250 spots. The private areas of the plant would have an embalming and a prep room, dressing room, body holding room, staff offices, and then a garage for the hearse and utility vehicles, and it gives direct access to the prep room. It's incredibly important that the staff of Hawthorne Path be diverse, looking into hiring somebody that is a fluent Spanish speaker, also hiring women and people of color. It's essential that staff are comfortable providing services to people from diverse communities, for example, people of color and those in the LGBTQIA+ community. This includes sexual preference and gender identity. One of my main goals for the diverse groups of people we hope to serve is to see themselves in the employees of the firm that we have.